Thank you, thank you. Hello, hello. I want to do two things in the next few minutes. The first is talk to you a little bit about what priority number 2 is, and we will get to what the second thing is after we finish the first. Priority number 2 is fairly simple in the sense that it is about simplicity. Priority number 2 is to make sure that for all of our users, we provide self-service workflows. Just like you have self-service food kiosks and self-service ATMs, we need to make sure that everything we're building, all of the features, are simple enough that our users, all our users, are able to use those features and our product overall without needing to reach out to us or to anyone for help. Why is this important? As you know, we are focusing on product-led growth as our company strategy. That means that we need our product to be the best tool we have for acquiring, for engaging, for monetizing, for retaining our users. You can't do any of that unless you have a self-service product. Self-service is the foundation of a product-led growth strategy. Once you have self-service, then you can have a self-service free trial, which lowers the cost for us to acquire customers. And that means that prospects can now learn about our product and experience the value firsthand before ever talking to us, and that accelerates our sales cycles. After the sale, because we've made the product simple to set up and simple to use, it means we accelerate customer deployment times, and we are reducing friction in the product, so that increases engagement and retention. So that was the first thing I wanted to cover. What is priority number 2? The second thing is, well, how do you do that? How do you build something that is self-service? So what I'd like to do now is focus on a framework that I would like all of us to remember about how we go about making our product self-service and simple. And there's 5 principles I will cover. First one is reduce. You need to reduce the steps in anything you're building. Think about, do you need that step? Can you take it out? You need to reduce the workload we're putting on the users. Reduce the number of concepts that we're forcing them to learn that they don't already know coming to our product. The second of the 5 is introduce. We all know that when we bring somebody to a new product, there's onboarding. And we introduce some of the basics of the product during that. But they certainly don't have a full view of all the functionality. Some of that they will come across later. We need to make sure that we are also introducing them to those features at the right time. So we basically need to do onboarding for some of the key features we have. Not necessarily all of them, but our key ones. And that, when we are onboarding for a feature, it's something that I refer to as inboarding. They're already in the product, so how do we teach them not just how to use some of our key features, but also why? What's the benefit of using it so that they will engage with it? The third of the 5 is help. And I don't mean documentation. As Bob said earlier today, often we can think of the need to refer to documentation as a failure state. I'm thinking about what can we do in the product itself and in the way we design our features so that we're building this help right into the feature itself, and there's many ways to do this. I've listed a few here. We can have guides. So if you have a process that's multiple steps, can you build some kind of wizard that will guide them through step by step? Can we do things like provide examples so when they're learning about Sage Search, we give them some examples about what a search looks like and they can learn from that? Things like templates. I don't just mean spot apps. I mean things like if we want to encourage somebody to create a formula, maybe providing templates about what are some of the most common formulas that they create, like a moving average, and give them a template of this is what a moving average formula looks like. You can then edit that. Don't forget about error messages. In some of our features, we have up to 60% of our users in the first time through it encountering an error. The error shouldn't just tell them you did something wrong. It should say something isn't right here. Here's how to fix it. Give them help on what they need to do to make it work right and get rid of the error message. The last two are about the process itself. So we want to make sure that we aren't just going through and trying to simplify things and putting it out there and saying, well, I hope that works. We want to make sure that we can measure the completion rates. For self-service, the number one metric you want to focus on is task completion rates, which is simply the number of people who start a particular process. That's your denominator, and the numerator is how many successfully complete it. What percentage of them are able to get through it successfully? And then the last point is repeat. This is not a one-time process. We are constantly and continually going through trying to figure out, how do we make it simpler? How do we be more helpful? How do we do inboarding better? So that's the framework.